Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Govijana Vallabha Girivardhari Govijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Govijana Vallabha Girivardhari Govijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Statira Satashi Srimad Chidandi Goswami Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Statira Satashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. Iskcon founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sama Veta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. One request. I made the same request yesterday in Punjabi Bagh, and I'm making the same request here. Please provide something nicer for Bhagavatam than a beaten up old wooden stand. It's embarrassing. I'm sitting on a nice seat and Bhagavatam is sitting on a beaten up old wooden seat. So please make something nice. Better than this. Okay? Marble. Gold. Right? Isn't it? What is this? What is that Vajra Purnima? What are you supposed to do with Bhagavatam? Put it on a gold throne. Huh? Not a beat up wooden whatever. Hare Krishna. So, now, with that, if you want to see a nice one, I had the same feeling in Mayapur, so anyway, I had some part in it. We made something nice. Upstairs, downstairs, I don't know. Anyway, in the upstairs Bhagavad, if you see on Mayapur TV, you'll see it. Nicely carved, marble. It wasn't too expensive. So, we are continuing the Srimad Bhagavatam. And first I must beg permission from all of these wonderful assembled Vaishnavas to sit here and to attempt to speak something on our verses for today, which are, in the 6th canto, the 4th chapter, correct? Is it marked here? No. And, no, hold on. It's the 6th canto, 442. It would help if it had a marker, but maybe it does. Yes, it does. Okay. All right, so 42 and 43. Now 42 has no purport. I hope this doesn't fall over. So I will chant verse 42. Tam ta tavanatam bhaktam prajakarnam prajapatim jatagya sarva bhutanam idam mahajanan. No, I'm going to do it on this. Janath. Okay. So, this is text 42. Is this too loud? Is it okay? Okay. Although Prajapati Daksha could not say anything, when the Lord, who knows everyone's heart, saw his devotee prostrate in that manner and desiring to increase the population, he addressed him as follows. Okay, so to help me out here, I'm going to read it from here, because then I can make it bigger. Okay, so this one we're going to do together. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prachitasa Mahabhagha Sangsidas Tapasa Bhavan Yashadhadaya Matparaya Mayi Bhavam Param Gata. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prachitasa Mahabhagha Sangsidas Tapasa Bhavan Yashadadaya Matparaya Mayi Bhavam Param Gata. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prachitasa Mahabhagha Yashadadaya Matparaya Mayi Bhavam Param Gata. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prachitasa Mahabhagha Samsidas Tapasa Bhavan Yashadadaya Matparaya Mayi Bhavam Param Gata. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prachitasa Mahabhagha Samsidas Tapasa Bhavan Yashadadaya Matparaya Mayi Bhavam Param Gata. Maharaj? Ladies, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Prachetasa, oh my dear Prachetasa, Mahabhaga, oh you who are so fortunate, Samsiddha, perfected, Tapasa, by your austerities, Bhavan, your good self, Yat, because, Shradaya, by great faith, Matparaya, whose object is me, Mai, in me, Bhavam, ecstasy, Param, supreme, Gataha, attained. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O most fortunate Prachetasa, because of your great faith in me, you have attained the supreme devotional ecstasy. Indeed, because of your austerities, combined with exalted devotion, your life is now successful. You have achieved complete perfection. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As the Lord Himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita 8:15, one reaches the highest perfection when he attains the fortune of realizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mam upetya punarjanma dukhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsitim paramam gata. After attaining me, the great souls, who are yogis in devotion, never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement teaches one to follow the path towards the topmost perfection simply by performing devotional service. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunamiliram Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangalandai Kripatamaham Vande Shri Tarinam Bhavamanam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Param Gataha, Param Gataha. The Gata, Param, how to achieve the highest perfection. Don't we have a book like that? Path of Perfection, right? The path of perfection. We all are looking for our path, right? Everyone's searching out, what is my path? What is going to be my journey? This word is very popular now, especially in the yogi circles and so on. When someone asks about, your life and so on, well, my journey has been, right? Isn't that Nishingananda? Everyone talks about their journey. There's some awakening in certain circles of society that life is a journey. But a journey to where? That's the question. Where is it going? Where is it all going? Boom, 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 boom. Right? For most people, it's just one step after another step after another step, a little enjoyment, and then boing, dead. And then birth again. I'm sure many of you have seen that wonderful illustration of a man hanging from a tree. You've seen that? So the man is hanging from a tree branch. Below there's a pool. In the pool there's crocodiles and there's snakes. And in that tree branch there are two little rats, I think. Anyway, they're not just mice, they're bigger. One is black and one is white. And they are chewing at the branch. You've seen this? Right? They're chewing. And the branch is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Now, just above the branch that the man is holding on to, there is a little honey, what you call a beehive. And from the beehive, some honey is dripping down. And the man has got his tongue out like this. And he's getting a few drops of honey as he's holding on to this branch, which is being gnawed away, and down below are not tigers. I think they're crocodiles and all kinds that are just going to eat him alive. And he's thinking, this honey is so sweet. The white rat is the day, and the black rat is the night. And gradually, his branch of life is being gnawed away until it's gone, and down he goes. In the illustration that I have seen about this, there's one more feature, and that is Krishna. Up in the corner, holding out his hand, seated on his Garuda, ready to rescue the man from absolute certain calamity. But the man is so absorbed in the taste of the honey that he doesn't accept the outstretched hand of Krishna. The exact opposite of param gata. What would be aparam, or duskrita, some really gata. What is he going to achieve? Nothing. Choosing our path is essential to call ourselves human beings. Tato Brahma Jigyasa. In this human life, we can choose between two paths. The path of animal life, basically, maybe sophisticated animal life. Instead of sleeping on the street, we sleep in a comfortable bed, perhaps. But what we do is no different. Or we can choose atato brahma jigyasa. We can choose the path of inquiry. Who was it? Was it Plato or Socrates? One of those who said, the unexamined life is not worth living. Which one was it? You know? Anyway, one of those Greeks. Socrates. Yes, without examining, without inquiry, without question, then the achievement of our life will not be param, it will be absolutely aparam. In fact, we will have wasted our human life. Human life is not a, how you should say, anyway, human life is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to achieve param gataha. And if we do not use our human life, then we go the other direction. We go back. We go back down into various lower species of life. Well, one may argue, well, I will be a very religious man, and I will offer various sacrifices, I will worship the devatas, and I'll achieve heaven. Even that cannot be achieved without connecting with Krishna. There is no success without Krishna. And we'll speak about that. Often in the West, I spend now. My wife and I, we have made a program of spending 6 months of our year. We have our home is in Mayapur, and we spend the winter months and so on this time there. But the 6 months of the more hotter time here, we go to New York City. And in New York City, we live in the Shri Radha Govinda Mandir. By the way, there's no one translating, so I assume everyone is able to understand. Or there's a translation. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. So yes, we live in New York City, and we have programs there where new people are coming to explore Krishna consciousness. And many of them have some connection with yoga, because yoga in the West has become quite popular. Mostly simply the asanas have become popular. The yoga asanas, and to some extent pranayamas and so on, people have adopted. Very few are actually, trying to understand the philosophy of yoga, but some are. Some are. And some of those, I should say, they come to hear about bhakti yoga. And often in our discussion, they begin to talk about their own spiritual journey, right? We began in this talk about talking about the journey. So my journey has been this. And I listen, I try to listen very politely. And I try to bring it around to the question of what is the goal of your journey? You're on a journey. Yes, we're all on a journey. Where do you want to go with that journey? And I'm often surprised to see that even these personalities who have developed some interest in yoga and so on, they really don't know. Well, wherever, it's the journey, right? The journey is the goal, and it gets all kind of muddled up, right? Life is a journey, and the journey is the goal. The goal is just what? Well, I can tell them. Brahmanda Brahmeti. You'll just be going to be going round and round and round if you have no goal. My wife has a few stories that she tells whenever anyone talks about, tell us some stories about Srila Prabhupada. So she loves to tell the story of her initiation, and so she's not here to tell it, so I'll tell it, because it connects to this. So she has a longer version, I'll just go to the short one. So she was actually, the point of her story is especially that she had a desire that Srila Prabhupada would personally initiate, not by letter and not through some other person, but personally initiate her and personally do everything. So she is getting initiated. She's in Melbourne, and she comes up. And as many of you know, Srila Prabhupada, very soon actually, when I was initiated, I think it was already the practice that his secretary, or at the time I believe it was Pradumya, his Sanskrit assistant, would choose the names, right? So the beads, Prabhupada would chant on the beads. That also was changing. By 1976, when she was initiated, there was different sannyasis chanting on the beads for initiation. So basically, Prabhupada would accept. He would. There would be letters and so on, but most of it was done by his assistants. So anyway, she comes up, and Srila Prabhupada takes the beads, and then there was always a little piece of paper attached to the bead saying this is with the legal name, and then what would be the initiated name. So calls up Louise, and so on. She comes up. Of course, what are the four regulative principles, etc. And then Srila Prabhupada says, so your name is Anita. And he said, no, it's not. He said, Anita means without a path. I guess there's some way in which Nita describes a path, and Anita would be without a path. He said, Vaishnavas have a path. You cannot be Anita. So he gave her a name, Atita Guna. And she's, wow, he's chose my name, he gave my beads, all of my spiritual desires are fulfilled. So yes, as Vaishnavas, we have a path. We have a path. We have a goal, and we have a way to get to it. We have a sadhya, right? And a sadhana. I hope I got my Sanskrit right? Whenever there's sadhana, sadhan, there's sadhya. Sadhya. Okay, good. Thank you for correcting me. Sadhya. Sadhana and sadhya. And our sadhya is the param gata, the ultimate goal. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes this Mamupetya, those who come to me, they never return to this dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Every other goal, every other object that you would pursue in this world is guaranteed to be connected to these two qualities, dukkha and ashat. Even if there's some sukha, it will be asat, it will be temporary, it will be finished. And not only will it be finished, but it will be replaced by dukkha. There will be some dukkha. For every ounce of that drop of honey that we get hanging on to the branch of this tree of life as it is being gnawed away, for every ounce of that honey, there will be the sorrow and pain that awaits us below. Every goal that we can imagine or dream of in this world is destined for failure. We may think, well, I will succeed and I will become so famous, my fame will live on. Right? I will have achieved something, and then I will be known for generations and generations. But no, they will forget. You'll be forgotten. If not in 100 years or 1,000 years, it will be a few thousand years, and then it's all forgotten. Nothing lasts in this temporary, miserable world. So we have to set our sights on freedom, becoming free, getting out, leaving, going home. The other day, we were at Govardhan in the Holy Name Retreat, and there was a little group of, sometimes in these retreats there's talks, and then you come together, right, in a little circle, and you share, and you've all had, how many of you have attended any sort of retreat like this? And you've had that experience, and the speaker talks, okay, now get in a little group and share amongst yourselves, right? 5 or 6 or 7, right? That's it's a good practice. So I was in one little group, and the topic, we started talking about Srila Prabhupada. We started talking about how his success. And it called to mind, and I was, everyone else in that little circle, I had actually inserted myself into that circle because I wanted to hear from the younger, I had been in another circle, maybe I was with you, Nishingananda, and then we broke up, and then I was looking around, oh, there's one, let me just see what they're talking about, right? Younger devotees. And somehow the topic came on to Srila Prabhupada. And being of a different generation, being of a different time, the time that Srila Prabhupada came to the West, I was in that time. I was, when he arrived in I was still only 14 years old, but by the time that Iskcon had begun, there's a song our friend Titikshava Karunika has written about being in New York City. You've heard that song, Nishinga? And he's like, maybe a few blocks away from 2nd Avenue, but he doesn't meet Srila Prabhupada. So that was like me. I was in New York City in 1966 and 67, but I didn't meet Srila Prabhupada. But I met, what happened, I did meet someone who did meet Srila Prabhupada. That was my start. How many of you have, now this is going to be embarrassing. If any of you do not raise your hand. Which way should I do this? Okay. How many of you have not read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita? Good. Okay, but you may not remember everything in there. But perhaps, and I'm not actually sure if this is in Lilamrita, I think it is in Lilamrita, that Srila Prabhupada was translating, and then Bhagavad Gita, but he was typing it out himself, right? And so Gargamuni, I'm not sure if it was Prabhupada's idea or someone's idea to get a dictaphone. So this, which you've all seen, right? The dictaphone where he's speaking into it. And there's a wonderful story how Gargamuni spends about 2 hours learning how to use the dictaphone and brings it back to Srila Prabhupada and is expecting now he's going to have, he's going to teach Srila Prabhupada how to use the dictaphone. And Srila Prabhupada says, leave it here. But I can show you. No, don't worry. It's okay. I know. He just starts using it. So anyway, now the tapes are accumulating. All these tapes are accumulating. And the devotees are trying to transcribe the tapes, and it's going slow. And then just one day, someone shows up, and his name is Neil, and he's there, and he says, I'm a student at Antioch College, and part of the system of Antioch is that once a year, we have to go out and we have to do something. We have to engage in some activity, some field work, so to speak, and then write about it and so on. So I thought, let me go and let me take part in some spiritual thing, and you guys seem to be, kind of fit the bill, so got something for me to do. And they asked, well, what do you know? Well, I'm a good typist. I can type, 80 words. Can you transcribe? Yeah, I do that. I transcribe. I know how to do that. We have got your work right cut out for you. And they take him up, and he sits him down, and there he is with the typewriter, and they're going like this. Krishna sent him. But Krishna didn't keep him there. He went back to Antioch College. He had learned something, so he started a Sunday sort of love feast with Kirtan. And by Krishna's arrangement, there was one other person at Antioch College at the time, me. And I went. And I did Kirtan, and it was lovely. So I went to talk to him to find out, what is this all about? And he started talking some Buddhist philosophy and something. He actually hadn't learned that much. He liked Kirtan and so on, but it didn't go anywhere. Anyway, that was my introduction. So I didn't meet Srila Prabhupada, but I did get that connection. But the topic that we were talking about in our little circle was, how did this happen? Srila Prabhupada. How did this miracle? Now, another book maybe many of you haven't read, but I recommend, is Miracle on 2nd Avenue. How many of you have read that? Because it's not translated, I don't think. Anyway, if you read English, it's a wonderful book by Mukunda Maharaj about his experience. How did this miracle happen? Let's go to another story. And here, maybe Nishingana, you can correct me with my names, but Shyama Sundar, more books for you to read. Chasing the Rhino, absolutely fantastic. And Nishingananda is to be thanked for facilitating Shyama Sundar's writing of that book. But Shyama Sundar was he's a little older than me, quite a bit, maybe he's 10 years older, I think, or so on. But anyhow, he was really fully into the scene of the 60s in San Francisco. Fully. I mean, he was right there with all the little movers and shakers. He knew everybody. And now these are probably names that will mean nothing to you. Grateful Dead, for example. Anyone? That mean anything to? I mean, it's a really funny name, Grateful Dead, right? I mean, this is our topic. Who's the Grateful Dead? You're dead. How can you be grateful? Anyhow, but it became a very popular band. So he knew somebody who was one of the leaders in this scene that Srila Prabhupada ended up going into. I think his name was Rod Scully. Is that right, Nishingananda? Yeah. So Shyama Sundar, they were friends. But they lost touch after he joined Srila Prabhupada's amazing adventure. And then maybe 10, 15 years ago, they just happened to meet. I think it was in a Zurich airport or something. They just happened to meet. Hey, my old friend. And they start reminiscing and so on. And at one point, Raj Kali starts to talk about Prabhupada. And he says, Swamiji, because that's the way he was known, he was different. He was different. There were other Swamis who visited San Francisco at that time, trying to, get followers, teach some yoga or whatever, Mayavadi philosophy, whatever they were doing. But Raj said that Swamiji was different. He was one of us. He was one of us. And what did that mean? I was reflecting, what did that mean? How was he one of us? And by us, I'm now talking about us. I mean, Nishingananda, myself, that generation. How was he one of us? I was part of that. I was in San Francisco. I was in communes in New Mexico. I was part of all of that before I entered the ashram. I was very much part of that. And I'm suggesting that he was one of us because he had already determined. He had the same goal. We had the same goal. We all had the same goal. We wanted to get out. Isn't it not? We wanted out. We wanted to get out. Out. We were trying everything. Especially we tried drugs. And the drugs did. They got us out. Temporarily. They got us out. We looked to get out. I went so far as to go to a abandoned farm in New Mexico and just, try to live there in the way people used to live. Get out. We wanted out of that machine that America had become, that war-mongering machine. It was actually Eisenhower that coined the term, the military-industrial complex, whose goal was to create wealth and enjoyment for this elite class on the backs of everyone else, to oppress, to murder and kill. This was the time of the civil rights movement, where people like myself, we were fighting for the rights of people that were being murdered, killed on the basis of their skin color. We were fighting to end a ridiculous war in Vietnam. Now we have more ridiculous wars. A war that, over this confusion about ideologies and capitalism and communism and this and that, but all actually only for political power. At that time in America, there was a draft. You could be conscripted, you could be forced into the army. Forced. Not volunteer, forced. Called up, sent to a camp, given 3-4 months of training, 6 months, I don't know. Called it boot camp. And then sent off to Vietnam with a gun in your hand to shoot and kill. Many of those who went to tolerate, they took to hard drugs, which were plentifully available. Many came back totally ruined, wrecked. This was the world that we were living in. We wanted out. But we didn't know where. We had no idea where to go, what to go to. And here comes Srila Prabhupada. He also had wanted out. But he had found the path out. And he was ready to share it with us, identifying with us. He was also a revolutionary. When he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was in the independence movement. He was a revolutionary. He started speaking about what's the use of our preaching Krishna consciousness when we're suffering under the yoke of British rule. First, let us become independent, and then we can teach the world. Bhaktisiddhanta replied, there'll never be an end to this political maelstrom. And there's never a better time to give people Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada heard that. He took it. Yes. Getting out of, suppression by the British, that's not the goal. Achieving independence, political independence, that's not the goal. Becoming a wealthy country, that's not the goal. The goal must be to get out of this material world altogether. Because it is dukkhalayam and ashashvatam. We have to get out. So Srila Prabhupada took that. There's a wonderful letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote to, I think it was Nehru maybe, I'm not sure, or maybe it was Lal Bahadur Shah. Well, anyway, he wrote a letter, and I can't quote it exactly. But it goes something like this. I have got the clue how to go back to Godhead. You've read that letter? Yes, the first president of India, whose name was? Rajendra Prasad. I have got the clue. I know where I'm going. I know how to get there. Let's join together. Let's show people the goal of life and the path to attain it. Srila Prabhupada had that conviction. He knew the way. And he was ready to share it with us in those troubled times and accept us for being the same as him. He didn't see a difference. He didn't see, I'm the Swami and you're the, mlechas and I'm going to do something. No. He saw us equally. He was able to be one of us because he was and he felt one of us. And we felt him to be one of us. Of course, on another level, but still with us and one of us. And we took his path and we followed him. And we are following him. And we all are now following him. We're following Mahajana Jena Kata Sapantak. We're following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. And we can't go wrong. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare. So I think I've observed the timing properly. I'm not sure. But do we have time? Should we? This is the end time, so I don't know if there's time for questions or comments. And Sringananda, you want to add something? Is there a...
Panchratna Prabhu, thank you. Panchratna Prabhu was my first real friend.
Hare Krishna.
There were I knew a lot of devotees, but it was my first real friend from Henry Street, 1971.
The old days.
And in fact, I was also not only was I in New York in 67, 68, and didn't meet Srila Prabhupada, but I actually lived on Thompson Square Park and never saw him.
Here's just to interrupt and because I'd say you'd like this. So we went to 26 Second Avenue, and I got there a little early, and I was to give a talk, and there a lady said, "Well, maybe I'll let you in." She lived there, and you might be maybe they're inside, just not open. So she let us in. But they weren't there. So she said, "I'll come back to hear your talk." And then later on, she tells us that she remembers driving, because she lived in Alphabet City. So she, Avenue A or something. So Tompkins Square Park is on Avenue A in the Lower East Side. So she remembers driving with her father down the Bowery and looking out and seeing this elderly man dressed in orange with these finger symbols walking down the street alone. Prabhupada was just chanting, doing Hari Nam alone on the Bowery. Anyway, I thought you'd like that.
That's beautiful. I'll go back even further. At one of our Sunday feasts at the Pyramid House, this older lady came. I'd never seen her before, so after the lecture and everything, she'd taken prasadam, and I was seeing her at the door. She says, I met your Swami. I said, "Oh, really? When?" She says, "Well, I was attending classes at Dr. Mishra's."
Dr. Mishra's.
And he was there all alone, and there were a number of us women, just women, and he didn't seem to have much to eat. So we would bring him bread there, and he was very grateful for that.
Jai.
That's how austere Srila Prabhupada was in this.
He was austere, boy. Just thinking about, we're now the age, right, that Srila Prabhupada was when he went from India. And I think I do have to say that I feel, I've got a little energy, I can walk and dance and so on. But I've spent the last 70-something years traveling, and I've gone all over the world, and I know people, and anywhere I go, I know somebody. Sringananda in L.A. and everywhere I go, on the way here, we went to Turkey. And we stayed with a devotee in their house who fed us completely. We went to the temple. It's a yoga center, and we did programs there. Everywhere, there are devotees. Srila Prabhupada left the home of devotees, Vrindavan, and went to the desert. It's like the depths of the Sahara Desert, And then all he found a Mayavadi. One Mayavadi, Dr. Mishra. Anyway, he was kind. And it's when he without hesitation, without any hesitation, he went down to the Bowery and entered into that world where we were and rescued us. And the rest is history, as they say. Hare Krishna.
I'd just like to add to your the idea that he was one with us in that he wanted out.
Yes.
Our generation, that counterculture was called, it was more than wanting out. We wanted free love. We wanted love.
Yes, we wanted love.
And we were desperate that in that society of affluence, it seemed to be absent, with war going on, with racial divide, and with people not happy with the affluence that they experienced. So Prabhupada brought to us, like the Pied Piper, he came into town, you know, blowing the flute of, I can give you what you want. You wanted love. You wanted everlasting love and reciprocation. And I think that our generation went, oh, that's right, I can't get it here, but that world, I can get it. And when I first sat down to a Bhagavad Gita class, my first contact, really, other than having received a magazine from one devotee, I went to the temple after traveling a long time, and Parvakacharya was there. He was reading second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And I was listening to it, and I turned to the person that brought me there, and I said, why didn't my parents tell me this?
Yes.
And that's my first connection with Srila Prabhupada, that he was telling me the truth. And that's what our generation was desiring. We wanted to hear the naked truth of things.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
And I think you're all in the same boat in some ways. So he's with you as he was with us. Hare Bol. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.